Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I will wrap up the reading month of April for you. So in April I read one non-fiction book, one fantasy romance, one young adult fantasy book, and one historical fiction novel. We had like one 3-star, a very generous 3-star review, two 4-star books, and one 5-star read. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. I just forgot to say, my name is Eve, and this is Books of the Wild Waters. And I will start with the least favorite book that I read in April, and end with the best book that I read in April. So let's go. So let's start with the 3-star rated book that I read, and this was Rapsodic by Laura Thalassa. This is the first installment in the Bargainer series, and this is fantasy romance. What can I say about this book? This is urban fantasy. Somehow, I don't know, it must have slipped my mind when I picked this book, because urban fantasy is not exactly what I like. But anyway, I read it. We follow Calypso Lilies, talk about stupid names here. She is a siren, and she has a bracelet full of beads, and every bead represents a debt that she is owing the bargainer. The bargainer is a very famous underworld fey king who gives favors, and everyone knows that he will be collecting them once, and he's quite cruel and fierce in that, and so it's not the best thing to actually have debts with the bargainer, but she has hundreds of them, and we get the explanation here why she has hundreds of debts with the bargainer. Because one day the bargainer is coming to collect his debts. Now, how can I put this? I actually went into this book and I thought, because that's what I heard from other booktubers, that this is a very fast-paced. It would have some kind of very saucy BDSM stuff in there, and I was interested how the author actually did that in the story. And I also thought it would be much darker than it ended up being. What I got, however, is some kind of coming-of-age story, because we get the background story of Calypso and Desmond Flynn, who is the bargainer and also the Fey King of the Kingdom of Night. And yeah, who, they met when she was just a teenager because she did something and needed his help, and then he actually like packs her off to a boarding school in the UK, and we go from there. And she actually only asks him to come because she wants to have company. We get, so to say, the angsty outsider in school story, and of course she is pretty and thinks she is not, and all of these things, and then she falls in love with the bad guy, because of course the bargainer has this kind of rock star image that the author gave him, always wearing faded metal t-shirts, of course, of very famous bands that everyone knows, and you can buy every of these t-shirts in H&M and Primark, so he's not true. Yeah, this is, we have like movie nights with the bargainer. I don't want to have a movie night with a very hot, handsome guy where you tell me actually she's a siren, because that means she has some kind of very lustful being in herself, and you always have this, oh yeah, I'm just a teenage girl, and then yeah, but I want to hunt him and I want to hump him and whatever. It's like, it's strange. It just doesn't make sense. And because we have them later as well than when she's grown up and he comes to collect, and we always have this kind of, it makes no sense what they feel for each other, even with the background story that we get. My like we the good thing in this book is there is some kind of a mystery going on in the other world where the bargainer is actually ruling, because some Fey warriors get abducted and then they later come back in a sleeping state with some creepy babies with them. Seems like that they have born these babies when they were away, and there's some kind of like vampiric beings or whatever, and nobody knows what happens to them, why they get abducted. And that was the interesting part of the story. But the love story part, like you are my soulmate, blah blah, and then you have the my biggest problem. My biggest problem was the language in this book. So we get most of the story we get from, or yeah, all of the story we get actually from Kelly's perspective, and she's speaking like a ghetto kid. It's really horrible. The bargainer is like, he has a normal way of speaking, but she's, because she's always some kind of in lust with him, but then also not. And the way she's speaking, it's just like, you don't want to hear this. Even the sex scenes that you have in there, even they are cringy, because you have the way it's described, it's so dirty in a way, but it's like, yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I would actually bump it down to 2.5 if there was something like this on Goodreads. But if you want to read it, read it. I'm not sure whether I will continue with it. There are more. This is a trilogy. There are more books, and I would like to know how the mystery gets solved in the in the other world. But do I really want to hear again these like, oh my god, I love you so much, and let's hunt like, I don't know, animals, and oh my god, he's so pretty, and oh, I'm not sure. So all of the books from here on are very good reads that I would really recommend, because 4-star is solid, very, very good for me, and only 5-star is like amazing. So we have now the two 4-star books, and I'm starting with Robert McFarlane, The Old Ways. This is the non-fiction book that I read this month, and this is Robert McFarlane walking the old ways from thousands of years ago, and most of them around Britain. We have the Southern Downs here, we have seaways in Scotland, and also in front of the coast of Essex. And I really enjoyed this a lot. There's also one part where he walks part of the Camino in Spain, and also some mountain climbing in Asia. I love this because I'm a hiker and I love to be out in nature, and it's also about the people that he met on the road, and also the people that joined him in walking these ways. And I thought it quite fascinating. He explains exactly what was the special thing about it, about all of these paths, for what they were used to, and I loved it. It's like, for me, when we are in lockdown at the moment, or like not anymore, but when I read it, we were still in lockdown, and I'm really craving to get out into the world, to walk again, to travel again. I think lots of people have that, and for me, this was a very important book at the time when I read it. It's beautiful. I can recommend it to you if you are interested in the British Isles, in going around the British Isles, and also if you're interested just in the life of a hiker and someone who loves nature and being out in nature, then this is absolutely something for you. I liked it. I give it 4 stars. Yeah. Next up, we have the historical fiction novel that I read this month. This was also part of my project of the book box Fever 21 because I received it in my February box of How Novel. And it was also the buddy read for this month that I always do with my friend Claudia of Knits for the Soul. And this is Joanna Courtney's Blood Queen. This is a story about Lady Macbeth. It's a Shakespearean retelling, and if you know the play Macbeth, you know, so to say, what we have in the background here. We get a lot of historical notes, historical background of the Scottish history, and we follow Cora Macduff, who is in the way has claim to the throne because she's from one line of the alternate bloodlines who actually always like present the king. We have the Constantine line and the 8 line, and she's belonging to the 8 line, and King Malcolm at that time, who is from the Constantine line, is starting to murder everyone who could, so to say, get the throne after him. He wants to his family to inherit the throne again. So Cora has to flee. She meets Macbeth and wants to marry him, but she gets abducted and has to marry someone else who also then with her has the claim for the throne again. And it's very brutal. It's very cruel. We have a lot of violence in this book. So if you're not prepared for this, please do not read this. It's very realistic. It's we see what women have to go through in, you know, in that time. I mean, it's medieval times, right? It's not that you have a high status as a woman here. You're there to you know, support the men and to like bear their children, and she has to go through that as well. She is raped, and also when Macbeth is coming back, he's not dead. He gets back to her, and she tries to persuade him to get, you know, the throne for her. And we get, so to say, the whole story of the two bloodlines fighting each other. We also have this the other part of the Constantine line where we follow Sybil. This is, so to say, a story of two queens that we follow, and yeah, the losses they have to go through, and the men that they will love who will kill each other, and it's very emotional. I also watched the movie Macbeth with Michael Fassbender to have another input here, which is also very good. It's from 2015. I can recommend that. I really like this. It gave me a lot of historical background for Scotland to understand a bit better, you know, how the animosities also with the tribes and the parts, you know, who was supporting England, who was supporting the Scottish Vikings, who was like, you know, all of this. I really liked it. And from a feminist perspective, it's interesting to see what, you know, the perspective of the women that we never hear anything about. So this is good. There are two other books of Shakespearean queens she has been writing about, and I will definitely read both of them as well, about Ophelia and Cordelia, and so about Hamlet and King Lear. And yeah, this is very good. 4 out of 5 stars. And if you want to read something and you're not of the faint-hearted, then get this. And now we get to the 5-star read I had this month. Actually, if I could give 10 stars, I would give 10 stars because it's the best book I read in a long time, and probably the best book I read this year so far. Lots of people will know it when you watch it. It's not like a hidden gem or something like this. So we're talking about Catherine Arden, The Bear and the Nightingale. This is the Winter Night Trilogy, Volume 1. And we follow Vasya in a village in the historic Russian countryside. She's the daughter of a boyar, and she can talk to spirits. This is very heavy, set in Russian folklore and in the time of Christianity starting to spread in Russia. And what we have here is as well a very well historically researched story, and we follow Vasya and her family in the countryside. You have all of the political stuff around who will marry who, but actually it's about the Winter King and the beasts in the forest, so to say, because the spirits are getting uneasy. Something is going on in the forest, and we have two entities that battle each other. We have fear and death. Death is winter, the Winter King, and fear is the one that is stirring in the woods, also connected to Christianity coming. And it's just beautiful. It's so many metaphors. We learn about Vasya, how it was also for a girl or a woman at that time. Of course, if you can speak to spirits and people realize that, they think you're a witch, and that's also when she becomes, so to say, a target, and there seems to be very soon a witch hunt coming. We have stepmothers here who want to get rid of their daughters, but not in everything in a very still realistic way. Although this is a fantastic story, and it's absolutely beautiful. The atmosphere is wonderful. Vasya is so strong, so brave. If I had a daughter, if I had children, it's like if I had a daughter, I would give her that to read, because you see how what women can do, or what girls can do. Just go your way. And although she's been punished and everything, she always tries to protect her family, and she also protects the nature, and that's why the spirits talk to her, because they know she understands and she wants to keep the old ways and the nature alive. And that's why she ends up meeting the Winter King as well. We don't know yet what the whole mystery will be there, what she's expected to do with him. But from a very young age, we know that it is her destiny to get to the Winter King, to Morosko, death, who is feared by people, of course, especially in winter. I love this. It's so good. I can't say how much I really like this. And I will continue with the series in May. Because I really want to read all of the books. I want to know what's going on, and I heard that it's even getting better. But I mean, this is already a 5-star read. How can it get better? It's like, I'm so excited. I want to know what's going on. I want to dive back into this story, into this beautiful nature, into the snow, into the wild, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's my recommendation for everyone. I already got 2 other people to buy this and I hope to get the feedback what they think about this. So it is a bestseller, and it's absolutely worth every recommendation you get for this book. I love it. Every adult can read it, although of course it's following Vasya as a child and also then as a teenager. But this is something, it's so worth the while, because it speaks about philosophy, it speaks about our nature as people, connected to nature, to our ancestors, to the folklore and the legends. They have a reason why they are there. And then you have of course Christianity coming over and saying this is not real, you should not follow this. And you have her being some kind of an outsider then, because she is following these old ways and she has no fear of them. That's very important. She has no fear of what is at that time. I loved it. So much. Please read this if you're interested in also in Russia or in darkness and fantastic settings, but you want to read something that is very valuable, not just entertaining, also very valuable. And I think this is very valuable. I cannot wait to read the second book. So guys, this was my April wrap-up for you. I hope you found something very interesting, and sorry if I was ranting too much about The Bargainer, but I was very disappointed in that book. I saw it as a very good reading month, and I'm really excited to show you what I will be reading in May, because I still have one book more that I actually started in April, but because it's a huge chunker, I did not make it, and it will go over to, it will be a carryover to May, and it's a huge epic fantasy novel. I release you into the rest of your day. I hope you found something interesting, and I see you guys soon. Bye bye.